Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. Where do we start?
I'm asking you what your MMR is exactly, because it looks like you're lowish immortal.
Yeah, I'm about 5.7, but the highest I make it to was 6.8
Oh, okay. How long ago was that?
last year.
Okay. What do you feel like's happened since then? Did you play less? Did you have a rough streak? What happened?
Well, I played less starting from this year, but I had a rough streak starting up earlier this year, so I just stopped playing Dota for a while.
Okay. Are you back playing now, or how's it going? How much are you playing nowadays?
I just played 4 games yesterday, but I haven't played that much for the past 2 months. But prior to 2 months, I was playing a good bit.
Okay. You're probably relatively up to date on things, even if you're not playing too much recently. But I'll probably expect to see some general mechanics slip ups just because you're not playing all that much. So we'll focus on conceptual things. My goal for this session is to give you one, maybe two things that I feel like, and you agree with, that they're meaningful takeaways, hopefully. I shared my screen with you. Do you see it on Discord?
Uh, yeah, I see it.
Okay. That just avoids the 5-second delay on stream. Um, let's check this out here. Do you have any comments or thoughts about this game? Or any particular part of the game that you'd like to watch?
Uh, I can't remember what happened within the game, but I know that it is hard to close our game somewhere when I play in Sven. So I'm not too sure how you go about killing towers.
Sure. So maybe talking more later on in the game?
Yeah, later on in the game. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're 4-0. You had a pretty good start. You're probably number one net worth. Yeah, you are. You have Razor mid, it looks like. Going BKB. You have Sabat and support. Look. Oh, it's Razor off lane, Lena mid. I see. Okay. Okay. So how do you feel about these type of jumps right here?
I felt like my team was pushing a fight that probably was unnecessary, but I felt like if I just leave them, they will end up dying, and I could just escape. I feel like that is how it goes.
I see.
You can
So
add up.
what do you generally do? Like, I want you to give me as much of a description as possible. When you leave them, what exactly do you do in the game? What do you say? What type of stuff happens if you were to leave them that leads to that situation?
Well, normally I just type get back, and
I see.
then I might go back to farming or something if feel it's a bad engagement. But sometimes I just be like, F it, and just go in and just take the risk.
I see. So, my the way I look at these situations is that it's not always the case, but I think 99% of the time, unless you feel like the enemy team is forcing you to, which in this case it's not the case. There's going to be some games where the opponent's going high ground or something. But unless you feel like the opponent's forcing a fight, then I generally just think if I fight with timings, that's going to win me games. That's just kind of how I look at it. It's not that simple, but that's how I look at it. I personally think forcing a fight when you're 1,000 gold off BKB is probably objectively wrong most of the time. In terms of when I say objectively wrong, I'm saying that your chances of winning this game go down making this play compared to what they would be if you didn't. Do you agree with that sentiment, or do you have a generally different take?
Well, I kind of agree with it, but it is a bad habit I have where I just go in thinking like my team going to initiate anyhow, going to take the fight anyhow. So I just go in and just take the risk. So it's just a bad habit I have.
I see. What's really funny about this is I've coached 3 carry players in the last month and a half, all of which are about your exact MMR. I know one of them's in chat, and I know he knows who I'm talking about. And every single one of you has this problem. And it's really interesting. So I'm not sure if that's purely coincidence. Maybe that's because I have this problem and you guys watch me. So maybe there's something in that.
I see you did that in the last game when they pick Axe.
When I was playing Axe?
Yeah, when they Berserker called
the fight that was like mid lane here?
The Primal Beast on bottom lane.
I think it was right here, right? We took the fight like right here.
It was bottom lane.
This was just a bad decision. I thought I could get away. I think the fight that reflects this situation was the one that we took right here, where I didn't quite get the right call. I was 1,000 off BKB. Terrorblade was 700 off of Scotty, stuff like this. And then we got wiped, and it was like right here. And I initiated, so it's like very similar. And like I would look at that play and think it's bad, you know. I will say, not in like my own defense, but I'm actually taking great pride in the fact that I'm doing that less than I did like a year ago, 6 months ago. And I think for someone like yourself, if you have that bad habit, it's highly worth dealing with, in my opinion. So one problem that I have that I'm concerned you have, I don't know you well enough, I haven't talked to you long enough to be sure, is that when somebody describes to me the situation that if I don't go to this fight, then my team goes and dies. The problem with that, because I used to describe it that way too, the problem with that is that one extreme is that you force the fight. The other extreme is that happens. And when we say it that way, we're not talking about the situation nuanced at all. There's like this entire middle area of, hey guys, I don't have my BKB yet. I'm going to farm it. If you take the fight, you're by yourself. Like, that's probably the perfect communication, if you're asking me. But a lot of what I think is missing in the middle is it's very easy to tell our team not to do things. I think it's very easy. I think what's difficult is to tell them why we don't want to do it and when you do want to do it. So if you're thinking, I want to fight, and somebody on your team says no, you're going to be kind of pissed. Like, I'm not saying you specifically, but like, you're going to be frustrated because you're like, but I want to fight right now. But if the guy says, I don't want to fight yet, I'm 1,000 gold off BKB, then we smoke. It's like a very different feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so what I guess I'm trying to say is that since I don't know you well enough, I'm not like assuming you do this, but I would argue that here's the point I'm trying to make. You agree, because you said it yourself, that this is a bad habit. I coached somebody else, the guy I was talking about in chat, and the example he was in was he was trying to initiate as Lina. And he said, we're stronger than them, so I thought we should fight them. And then I was asking him questions along the lines of like, but how should the fight go? Like, who's going to go first? What does it look like? What's the positioning? What's your role in the fight? And the point that I tried to make to him was, if you took 100 fights in the game he was in, I don't think Lina would ever initiate. It's like he had like some blink stunner and he was trying to initiate as Lina. And so the point that I was trying to make is that when we think of a bad habit, the first step is, okay, it's a bad habit. But the second step that I think is more difficult to achieve is, what would we rather replace it with? Like, rather than focusing on, let's not do that, like, let's not take bad fights, let's focus on how we want to take fights. So, like, if I'm an initiator, a lot of times that's like, there's a condition for it. Maybe I need to see this hero. Maybe I need to have this item. Maybe I need to follow up this hero. Like in the Axe game, I realized I tried initiating like 2 or 3 times and it didn't work out. And I realized, I'm like, if I go first, then Marcy jumps my Terrorblade and kills him. So then I'm like, oh, I need to wait for Marcy to go in. Like, I realized I specifically needed to wait to see that. And uncoincidentally, that happens. I get a 3-man call, we wipe them and win the game, and Terrorblade gets like a Sunder off of like 100 HP. And it's like one of those things where, you know, that's the process that I want you to go through, which is never like to do your best to detect that trigger that you have that goes off that says, fuck it, go. That's almost never good. I can relate to this. Do you have a question?
Yeah, but it's like, how we can not go if you're looking at the map and you're seeing all of your teammates there. So what is it was a bad play for all the teammates to be there in the first place? Like I don't know what is the problem. The problem is the team wasn't supposed to be there, or I supposed to just not go. What is the right decision from a
Okay,
high
so when you
high
ask
animal?
these type of questions to me, I'll ask the same thing back to you. What part of this do you control? What part can you do anything about?
Well, I could tell them to get back all now.
No, you can't do anything about where your team is on the map. Your role in the game is to look at what your team's doing and do the right thing for you. That is the goal in every circumstance. So when you ask me, what's the way to solve this? The answer will never be, my team doesn't do this. Like, the answer never is, my team this. The answer is, you do this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got
Like,
what you're saying.
I really want to direct everyone, because it's a very common problem. I have it. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult problem to shake. Is if your thought of the solution is anyone other than you, stop right there. Just stop. Because we can't control any of this. There's like too many fucking things going on here. There's human factors. There's 4 random people that never play together. They're making all these decisions. They're thinking these things. Dota's really high tempo. It's stressful. Like, if we try to worry about any of that, we're fucked. Okay? So, the question is not, what do I do to get my team to not go there? What do I say or do when they are doing this? Like, that's it. That's the question we want to shift it to. So what I'm looking at right now, I'm going to do a little exercise with you. Right now, looking at the map, I see a situation where you guys are kind of setting up to fight. Do you see what I mean? Like, the fight isn't guaranteed to happen yet. You're not pushing the tower. You see it, right?
Yeah, I see it.
So what we want to do in terms of our learning process is we take what happens in our games and we apply it in the next one as best we can. So when we have fights that we don't like taking, the exercise I go through is I rewind it to the point where I feel like it looked like the fight is going to happen. Like, right now, the fight isn't breaking out, but you are good enough at Dota, like, you're high enough MMR to see that there's the setup for the fight. And this is the moment that we want to rewind to, right? And we want to ask ourselves, what do I think I would say and do to not end up in this fight? So I'm now asking you, kind of like as a practice to this exercise, looking at your items, your timings, the positioning of your heroes on the map, the fact that we've mutually agreed you don't want to fight, the fact that you don't have information because we don't see any enemy heroes right now. What would you like to say or do in your game to not end up in this fight?
Well, probably just farm the BKB and forget about the rest of the teammates at the moment.
So, like, let's be as specific as possible. Where exactly are you going to go? What exactly are you going to say? Go.
I will go probably in the triangle and tell my team to get back and just farm the triangle and then move to the other ancient camp. Farm towards the other ancient camp at the bottom right corner.
I see. So you would go like this way and then maybe like over here or something. Excuse me, like over here? Or maybe like...
I'll go there and then go downwards by next to Roshan to the right hand side.
Oh, you'd go over here.
And go and farm the other ancient camp.
Okay.
At the bottom.
I see. I also think that by the time you get here, a lot can happen. Maybe your team already lost a fight. Maybe they backed off and somebody farmed these already. So a lot can happen before then. But the key is you would go here next. Criticism-wise, I really think that if you don't acknowledge that they want to fight, like if you say get back, that is not acknowledging they want to fight. Saying, try not to fight, I'm farming BKB. If you acknowledge what they're trying to do and why you don't want to do it, I think it is the most powerful communication you can give. And this takes practice. It takes practice. It's not easy. So this process I'm trying to teach, and this is the type of session that I highly recommend you watch back a few times, maybe even a lot, whatever, where you go through these step by step. The first step is you see a fight. So the problem we're trying to address is ending up in fights that we don't want to be in. What happens is we see the replay, we rewind to the moment that we think, I'm just going through it again, that we think the fight is setting up. And then we ask ourselves, what would we say or do to get out of this? The first thing is in our communication is acknowledging what the team is trying to do and telling them why you don't want to do it. So be careful of fighting bottom. I'm not going to be there. I'm farming BKB. Like, for me, that's about as crisp communication as you can get here. Like, maybe there's some more perfect communication that a pro player would give, but I think that's about as good as it gets. So
But like in most high rank games, you think that pro players will be saying all those stuff, or do you think they just be playing the game generally and making their own decisions, or they be making all those suggestions?
What I can tell you with 100% certainty is the pro player won't go to this fight.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to answer your question in a way that I think is appropriate here. When I historically played mid, I had this issue of always trying to help the side lanes when they were losing, and it would ruin my game. I remember when I joined Team Liquid that I asked Nisha how he decided to not help other lanes. Okay? And his answer was, it's bad for my game. That was the degree of which he thought about it. Like, he had this gut feeling that that's bad for me, I don't do it. So, my question is, would that approach work for you? This is bad for me, don't do it. Will you never go to this fight again if that's your approach?
I tried that approach previously, but the thing is, I realized you have to farm towards your teammates to sometimes make plays. So, like, I take that lesson, like farming towards your teammates, and I make it practical, like in these games here.
I see. Well, the problem is I'm not really disputing the idea of farming towards your teammates. I'm disputing the idea that you blink in under a tier 2 when you don't have to fight and you have a BKB, and you don't have your BKB yet. That's the part I'm disputing. So I'm not really disputing farming towards your teammates. I think if you want to farm towards your teammates and let one of them initiate and maybe think you can clean up or something, that's like a very different story than what we're seeing here. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Just wait for and see how your teammates react, and then after they react, you make a decision and play accordingly.
And there's times where in this game, I would argue you're the only initiator. Like, who else on your team goes in? You know what I mean? So I would argue, since that's the case, there's really no situation where you clean up. So there's no situation where you don't go first, which means if you going first, then we ask ourselves what items we need or whatever, or situation in the game we need. And if I'm looking at a hero like Dawnbreaker, I'm probably never diving tier 2 with a hard commit. I'm just probably not doing that because that's what Dawnbreaker is really good against. That's exactly how she works. Like, if I look at the opponent lineup, do you know what I see? I see one fucking stun. I see a single target, one stun. That's all I see. So, like, I look at this game and I'm thinking, I could just farm. Like, I can be anywhere I want. I can just farm. And once I get BKB, they can never kill me unless I overcommit into the Dawn ulti. Like, that is the literal only way I'll die. Like, that's how I look at it. Because I see no stuns. So then, what I'm thinking is, when I talked about the pro player example, the problem is this. How do I word this? I don't have too much. I have maybe 10 more minutes for this session. I just want to let you know, so I want to make sure I try to get my point across.
Yeah.
It's much easier to teach a 5-year-old a good habit than it is to teach a grown adult to undo a bad habit and replace it with a good one. So what I've realized about the majority of pro players, this is me attempting to articulate this because I never have. I've discussed with a lot of pro players in the past, a lot. And what I've realized for most of them, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, is that they never had the bad habit in the first place. Okay? So, all of our bad habits are rooted in something. Like, whether it was something we learned as a kid or some approach we had, whatever. And when I asked them, there was no process of, oh, I had to overcome that as well. It was just like, no, I don't know why you would help side lanes if it's bad for your hero. Like, that's the kind of response I get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when you ask me, like, would a pro player do this? I would argue that probably not, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not the same thing because I'm trying to help you unlearn a bad habit. And I think the only way to unlearn a bad habit is to consciously apply a good habit. And then eventually that habit becomes the habit. And then you're effectively approaching it the way a pro player would, which is by feel. Do you see what I mean for the process?
I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad it went through because that's the first time I've tried to explain that. So when I'm looking at this scenario, my entire goal, because I struggle with this too. I struggle with going to fights I shouldn't go to, like rushing things. I try to redirect as much focus as I can back to myself because 90% of the time it's because we're concerned about something our teammates are going to do, what they have done, what they're going to say, what they're going to do if we don't go to the fight, like meaning they're going to break their items or something. And and quite frankly, if we think that way, then what's going to happen the next game? Like we're going to get a different teammate with a different response with you know, I'm like, it's not going to translate to our next game. So all we can do, in my opinion, is to ask ourselves, I see this scenario. I've ended up here several times. What I don't want to do is take a fight that's forced. What would I like to say or do that's going to help me not fall into that trap again? Because I have to consciously replace this bad habit. I have to replace it with something. Otherwise, I'll default to it in a really high stress, time sensitive situation. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much time in Dota to think about things. So if we don't take, like, this 30 minutes that you and I are discussing where we're like, what exactly are we going to say? What exactly are we going to do the next time that you feel this happening? Then in the game, you're not going to figure any of this shit out because you're fucking busy. You're so busy just thinking about shit. Okay? So when you asked about, like, closing games out, I think a big part about Sven is that he gets absolute map control, and then the opponent shows on lanes at some point, and they get blink fucking stunned, and they die. You know what I mean? Like, he has, like, satanic Daedalus, and then you win the game that way. And I've noticed that every hero as a carry has, like, a weird condition for how many times they're allowed to die before the game gets really fucking hard. I think, like, PL, Sven, and Luna are three heroes that come to mind. Maybe Gyro. These are heroes that, like, if they are farmed and they die, like, once or twice, I feel like the game is infinitely harder than if they didn't die once or twice. I think a lot of it's because they farm really fast. They operate on showing on lanes with their actual hero. Like, Sven shows on lanes with his actual hero. PL shows on lanes with his actual hero, even though he's like an illusion guy. Luna shows on her lanes with actual hero. You know, maybe she buys a Manta, but still, she's usually gankable at all times. And if they fall behind slightly, these heroes feel really weak in comparison to when they have map control, when Sven's allowed to blink somebody, when PL's, like, not required to show his real hero, when Luna's only pushing lanes with her Manta, and that's enough. It's like, I'm just giving a few examples off the top of my head where, like, maybe I'm wrong, actually. I'm going to look at it. I would argue that this play was probably a really big win late shit. Yeah, you went, this is the play, right? You went from 67 to, like, 53 in the next 2 minutes because of this play. And I just look at these type of plays and I'm thinking, like, this is effectively 50% increase of the opponent's chance to win the game. And while you obviously win the game, when I'm looking at, like, closing out games on heroes like Sven, like, what a Yatoro would do, obviously I don't do it, what a Yatoro would do is this graph looks like this. Like this, where my arrow is. Like, it just... You know? Like, that's what... Or maybe it levels out a bit because nothing's happening, and then it goes like this. And it's not that I expect you to play perfectly, of course, but these are the moments in the game that we, like, want to dissect and close it out. So, and also in this game, what I think is cool is it's probably not you that's supposed to hit buildings. Like, I would say it's probably Razor who ends up going, like, Ags. So in regards to, like, killing buildings, I think you would actually end up more to be a counter initiator this game. Like, I'm kind of just theory crafting, but you have a frontliner Razor. You don't really have other stuns. If you were to be the first one that goes in, you're against Dawnbreaker, which just feels really bad to be, like, a single target initiator against Dawnbreaker. Like, that feels really bad. So yeah. I actually think the answer in your game, just at a general sense, would be patience in a lot of it, because It's similar to that Axe game. Like, the difference between that Axe game today and what I would have done in the past is I would have made the same mistake of forcing 2 or 3 fights in the past, but I wouldn't have adjusted mid-game and said, oh, I need to wait till Marcy goes in. Like, that's the difference I wouldn't have made. So I think one of the early steps for you is you'll probably do this several times or one time in a game. And when you take a fight you don't want to take, like, what you could do is you have a sticky note or something. You say, after a fight I don't want to take, and now I'm dead. You know, I took a fight, I'm dead. I'm sitting here for 60 seconds. Like, what do I want to change in my approach for the next fight? I need to make sure I have BKB. I need to make sure I wait till Dawn ulti. I need to let them go on Razor. Like, whatever the exact formula is, if you stop in the middle of the game and consciously change your approach, it actually makes a huge difference. I know I've kind of been talking your ear off, and this has been more of a conceptual session, but rather
No,
than
it
just...
makes sense. It makes sense. I could take that into practice.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I say I could take what I say into practice. Just wait and just let the fight play off, and then initiate when you think it's extremely necessary to kill the heroes. Like for this game, like if I see Rubik, I feel like I'll try to kill the Rubik or the Veno first.
Yeah.
And then aim for the other heroes afterwards. Like if I get a pick off on those heroes, I think like that's how I would play the fights.
Yeah, I'm like 99% sure, especially since you used to be 1,000 MMR higher and you're kind of like lower just because you stopped playing as much, that you probably have the conceptual knowledge to approach these situations properly near every time. If you kind of wade through the bullshit, which is kind of like distracting you. So like I trust that if you do what you just said, like that you would have the right answer. It's like if I'm coaching like a 2K player, I have to coach them to have discipline, but also coach them on who to go on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so in your case, like, and I'm saying this for everyone watching too, if you're like a higher MMR player, what I've noticed with you guys, especially like 5K to 6K, is how much knowledge you guys have that you're not using. Like in terms of the actual application of the way you play the game. It's like all of you would know to wait to, like, in an ideal world, to not go in with BKB 1,000 gold off when Dawn has ulti, but you guys do it anyway. And like I think the same of myself. I'm like, you know, if I'm 10K, I'm like 13K knowledge, like 8K execution. Like that's what I am, you know. I just don't execute properly. But so rather than worrying about the knowledge we need to have, we need to learn how to effectively apply it. So it sounds like you got something out of this. I guess I'll just ask, do you have any thoughts, questions, concerns about anything that's been said, or how to apply it?
No. It teach me everything I need to know. So I understand what you're saying.
Awesome, man. That's good to hear. I mean, that's awesome to hear. That's all I got. So, sweet, man. Thanks for joining me for this, and I'll see you around the channel.
All right. Thanks, BSJ.
No problem, man. See ya. I like this session. That was fun. I enjoyed that. For some reason, I always feel a bit guilty when we just like watch 1 minute of the game. But I actually think, for me personally, I get the most out of these sessions. Like, I learn the most. So I would like to think if I'm learning, that the guy watching or the guy that I'm coaching is probably learning too. Because I learned something there. I learned how to articulate something that I've never really articulated before. When I'm on VC with mates and make stupid play, I usually say out loud, this is probably a shit idea, and die 5 seconds later. For sure. We have enough in-game hours. Yeah, I'd say that Dota's in a unique scenario where a lot of the problem that players have, because they've played the game for so long, is that not that they lack the knowledge, but that they lack the mentality to execute the knowledge. I think that's I mean, I think that applies to a lot of people in real life as well. Like, how often do we do things in real life that we, like, quote unquote know are bad ideas? You know what I mean? And we do them anyway. with what you were saying about high MMR players, how do we avoid autopilot? I think you rinse and repeat what I just said to him, you know, with in regards to every bad habit you have. You recognize one bad habit. You watch the replays through the lens of this one bad habit. Like, how often am I taking fights I don't want to take? You take a fight you don't want to take in a replay. You watch the minute leading up to the fight, asking yourself, what am I thinking, saying, doing during this situation that's leading to me taking this fight that I don't want to take? Why am I there? In my experience coaching players, 90% of it's my teammates are going to flame me, my teammates are going to die bottom. The answer is like 99% of the time something that they're worried about somebody else doing. And then I ask myself, do I want to be making decisions based on worrying about what other people are going to be doing? Basically, what that means is, do I want my decisions to be guided by anxiety? And if the answer is no, which I would agree, most people would agree that most people don't want their decision making being driven by anxiety, then we ask ourselves, how would we like to make our decisions? In this exact example, I would say I want my decisions to be made based on timing, based on logic of Dota 2. Which target do I want to go on? What are the hero's strengths and weaknesses? What position on the fight on the map do I want to take the fight? Where do I want to farm? How long do I need to farm? What do I say to my teammates to convey this? You know what I'm saying? So you consciously assess why you're doing something, and then you replace it with a why that you would prefer to execute. That's my best summary.